Hey guys, Paranormal Activity Podcast here. It's Melissa.
And I'm Jill.
And today we have the honor of interviewing Mike, Tom, and Connor from Long Island Paranormal Investigators. Always get paranormal and paranormal mixed up. But if you guys are not aware, we are from Long Island, and we thought it would be an awesome idea to chat with some volunteers that are dedicated to helping those here on Long Island with their paranormal activity. So thank you guys so much for joining us, guys. And I guess we'll start off first with you guys telling our audience a little about what you guys do and what caused you guys to join LIPI.
So, well, my name is Mike. I am actually the founder of Long Island Paranormal Investigators. I founded it back in 2003. I've always been interested in the paranormal ever since I was a kid. And growing up as a kid, I had like reading comprehension problems. And if I read something about, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, I would just remember it. I would comprehend it. And, going through life like that. And then in 2003, living on Long Island, we were just talking about urban legends and stuff. And I actually dared two of my friends to go into Building 93 at Kings Park Psych Center. So they're like, yeah, we'll do it. So
oh my God.
Got a bunch of, walkie-talkies and flashlights. And that night they went in and they had a video camera. And I'd say they were in there for about an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And while they were in there, towards the end, they were in one of the sub-level basement rooms, and they heard a loud bang. The camera shut down, freaked them out, and they ran out. So me and the co-founder, we decided to start looking up different locations that are on Long Island, and we found out that they sell equipment that goes along with some of the theories. So we bought some stuff. We started investigating some of the urban legends of Long Island to try to prove or disprove what's really happening.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how we started out, and then we were doing that for a while, and then a few years later, we got a DVR system, and we started doing house investigations, and kind of that all led us to where we are today. We travel all over the country.
Sorry, Mike, I think you're breaking up.
I think he froze on us.
Average, we do about 50 to 60 investigations a year. We do a lot of traveling. House investigations have been kind of quiet just due to COVID, but we're going to start picking that back up. I think in a month we're going to start doing that again. So I think
awesome.
6 people on our waiting list. So
that's great.
So that's pretty much
not great for them, but
yeah,
right. We use so much equipment. I would really be comfortable saying, and these guys will tell you, we probably have more equipment than any paranormal group in the entire world.
Oh, wow.
And like everything you see on a website, we actually own it and use it.
Oh my
so
God,
do you guys purchase it yourself, or do you look for sponsors?
At first, I was, me and the co-founder, we were purchasing a lot of stuff ourselves, and then we started to do membership fees, and we started like budgeting money that way, and then started doing presentations, and we charged like libraries for presentations, and we kind of just budgeted all that way. So it took many years. We've been around for 18 years now, so it's
awesome.
A lot of time to do that. But yeah.
Oh yeah. So. And Mike, I know we talked briefly on our first episode about Sweet Hollow Road. I've had experience. I've had an experience there personally after like 100 times of visiting there. Do you have a lot of like evidence from that location where you just think it's a bunch of crap? What's your theory?
So it's tough. So Sweet Hollow Road, depending on if you're investigating like the bridge area, the storyline itself, where there was a bus that slipped on ice on the overpass, fell off the overpass, and a bunch of kids got killed, and then you park your car underneath the overpass and you get pushed out of harm's way. That storyline specifically was stolen from an actual storyline that happened in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Where a bus was crossing the train tracks and it stalled out. And this happened, I want to say, like the late 20s, early 30s. A freight train came, hit the bus, killed all the kids. They actually named all the street signs after all the kids that passed away. And when you go to that location, you put your car, you pull it up, you put your car in neutral, and your car rolls up over the tracks. I actually went there and tried it, and I found out that somebody actually drew like a line in the road where you park your car, put your car in neutral, and every single time your car will always go in neutral. So I was like, all right, so there's definitely a decline that leads up to the track. So what I did was I put my car in between the decline and the incline that goes up over the tracks,
Gotcha.
I sat there for about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, my car actually went up and over the tracks. Have
Oh,
it on
wow.
video and everything. It was a cool
And that was-
experience.
That was in San Antonio.
I was in San Antonio, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So back
Wow.
to Sweet Hollow Road, there is so much stuff going on in that area because you have Mount Misery Road right there. So I think a lot of the stories between those two locations are tied together.
Yeah.
We've investigated the overpass, which is hard to do because a lot of cars pass through there and they'll beep the horn at you and stuff. So it's kind of complicated. We just started to investigate. There's woods that, like, if you park right before the bridge, there's like a wooded area where we started to investigate. We've only had about 2 investigations in there, but we have caught some EVPs and stuff over there so far. So we're definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you know, it's highly residential, so it's a high traffic area, so it's kind of hard to sit there and really concentrate on everything.
Yeah.
Maybe the 100th time that I've been there, we saw a handprint. Like, we just drove onto the property and just felt so.
Right.
Everyone in the car was just kind of like, okay, we have to get the hell out of here. So I just buzzed through it, and then like the car fogged up weirdly as soon as we stepped on the road, which it wasn't fogging up anywhere else, you know, driving there.
Right.
And as it's defrosting, I see like the little kid handprint. And this time, like I was, young 20s, I didn't have kids, and I was like,
Right.
Yeah, that's eerie, you know.
yeah, that was like the one thing. But it took like 100 times though of going there and just, trying to see something for, for shits and giggles and for that to pop up.
Yeah, we feel Mount Misery Road is definitely a lot more active than the Sweet Hollow Road area. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of all tied together anyway. So
yeah. Okay, cool.
But I don't know if Tom and Connor, you want to jump in?
As far as you just want some history, I guess, on us.
Well, what made you get into the paranormal, and what made you want to join LIPI? Like, what was your call? Like, what was your moment of your calling? I guess.
So, kind of like Mike said, like my whole life, I was always into paranormal and horror movies and ghost stories as a kid, and I've always been fascinated by it. I mean, Ghostbusters came out, I was obsessed with that, and I wanted to be a Ghostbuster back then, and so I've been with the group for almost 3.5 years now, and I was a fan and a follower of the group before I joined, and when I saw they were taking on new investigators, I'm like, wow, that's something I could possibly do. I watched all the shows on TV and everything, and I figured, something that you had to like study or go to school for or something, and all right, let me go check this out. So I went down to the interview and met most of the group that night and was like completely blown away. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, but there's no way they're ever going to want me. I've never done this before.
Oh, okay.
So, a week or two later, I get a call saying, hey, we want you to join. And I was like blown away. I was so excited. And,
that's awesome.
And
did you have a lot of paranormal experiences growing up, or you were just more interested in it and you wanted to kind of see what was out there?
A little bit of both. Definitely interested. I had a few things happen. My family. I definitely come from a family of believers. So like if I said when I was a kid, like if I said I saw something, my mom would say, "Oh no, that was blah blah blah." She'd be like, "Oh yeah, it probably was." If I thought,
see, that's good though.
That's somebody else's parent.
For me, it wasn't like taboo.
Gotcha.
And then even when I got a little older, like I had a couple experiences. Like I used to work in retail. I had one really crazy experience in a store I worked in with me and another employee where to this day, I still can't explain what happened. Like, that kind of thing just kind of reaffirmed it for me that something was going on and I want to know more.
Definitely.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've had a few of work experiences, especially when you're closing, you're the only one there.
Oh God, yes, stuff always goes on.
Late at night, no one else is there, and banging that we can't explain. There was definitely no people there, but something.
Yeah. What type of establishment was it? Was it like a restaurant, a store?
I actually used to work in a music store. If you it was called The Wall, and it was a store that had like big, like floor to ceiling glass windows on both sides of the store. And on the back side of the store, it was right on 25A, and the windows were about 10 feet above the ground. So we were to the front of the store, and all of a sudden we heard bam, bam, bam on those windows. So me and the other guy, we went running up there to see if someone was there messing around with us. There was no one there. And like to do what we heard, someone had to have gotten up on a ladder, banged on the windows, climbed down the ladder, and ran away in about 10 seconds. So
Oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's not
So you
possible.
can't explain
yeah.
that, yeah.
So while we were at that window, all of a sudden in the front of the store, bam, 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 we heard the same thing. So we turn around, go running up there. Again, floor to window glass, you could see everything. There was no one there.
Jeez.
And then a couple times in that same store, like at night, like I would close the night before, and I know I shut everything down. I'd come in the next morning, I'd be the opener, and the music would be playing, like stuff like that. You know,
Yeah, I wouldn't return. that would be it for me. I'm like, I'm out of here, dog.
I guess I was intrigued. I wasn't scared. I wanted
Yeah, I'm surprised you wouldn't see. I would be the scared one. I would think you'd be like, all right, what's going on? Like,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm used to it. You know, something like, you know, I'm
certain
used to
things,
it, but like,
certain
do I
things,
want to be around it constantly? Like, it's kind of one of those things, you know, where you're like, hey, I don't want to be dealing with this every day because people are gonna think you're crazy. Especially when you have other people to answer to, like, why wasn't this done or why wasn't this? And, you know, it's like, you can't blame the ghost.
we want to be around it all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
funny, yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would definitely want to explore more and join the group if I was definitely in your shoes.
Yeah.
Well,
that
thank you
sounds
for that.
Awesome.
And how about you, Connor? I know before we recorded, you were talking about how you work in a museum and all that fun stuff. So if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, my name's Connor. I've been in the group for just over 2 years, and I actually got started with the group because I hired the group first. So I work at the Southampton History Museum, and my boss asked me to figure out something spooky for Halloween. So I shot an email to Tom, asking, you know, hey, could we figure out doing an event of some sort? I like ghost hunting. I like all the shows. I never had a real experience or anything before in my life before I started working at the museum.
Okay.
And when I started working there, I had a few things happen where I'd be alone in the museum and I would hear people walking around or weird other noises like doors opening, furniture moving, things like that. But I hadn't really seen anything. And then I started seeing like some weird shadows on occasion. One time in particular, after a wedding, I was the last one there cleaning up after the caterers. And in order to turn off all the main lights in the exhibit room, you have to sort of shut yourself in the room, hit the light switch, and then you can open the door to go into the kitchen to leave. So you're kind of like in pitch darkness. And as I turned around to like grab the door to pull it closed, I saw like a large shadow figure taking up like a whole section of the hallway. It was like probably about like 6.5 feet tall and like not ideal at 2 a.m. So yeah, I ran out the door. I did not set the alarm.
I would have.
I would have booked it and never came back.
Yeah, I made sure to be the first one there in the morning so I didn't get in trouble for not setting the alarm. Yeah, so I had a few experiences like that. So I figured, well, I'm not lying to people saying come buy tickets to this haunted event, so why not? So we set it up.
Yeah, were you the only employee, you know, that had that experience? Or
No, so
your other coworkers had that too?
So there's been other coworkers in the past at the museum that have had experiences. There's one currently there that works there who she had experiences, and she's worked there for about 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And she said over the years there have been other staff members on occasion who would have small experiences like this. Okay. So I didn't feel so crazy. So yeah, so we set up a small fundraising event to sell tickets for people to come in and check out what a real paranormal investigation would be like, and that's where LIPI came in and the guys came in. We did the investigation. We had a lot of fun. Caught some evidence. The guests all had a great time, and so we figured let's try it again. And then that was in October of 2018. They came back in January to do an investigation without any guests to just sort of get like a clean one. Because you know with all the guests, people are whispering, talking, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and that investigation started with Mike sitting down with me being like, "So you want to join the group, right?" And I was like,
"Oh, that's awesome."
I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Seems fun." So yeah, I kind of been involved ever since. We've been doing these things at the museum pretty much on a monthly basis, with a little break because of COVID, but we got back into it in October 2020.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool how you guys all came together then.
And how many members are in your organization?
We currently have, I want to say, we have 13 full-time, which meets every week. Then we have 3 guests that come down once a month, and then we have 4 out-of-state guests, which
Oh, cool.
is one of those. Yeah, Tom used to be full-time living on Long Island. When he moved to North Carolina, a lot of people, when they move away, we don't want them to just leave. We want to keep them on, and so he stayed on, and he's actually hosting what we call our auxiliary guests, which is our out-of-state department. So, which is awesome.
Oh, cool. That's
awesome.
Then.
Yeah.
Cool. So, of course, our podcast came together due to us being 2 moms that love paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
So we are concerned that our little babes will experience something paranormal in their life. Are a lot of the cases that you guys have attended to in the investigations, do they deal with children being affected? Is it more of adults?
I would say it's about mixed. And just because a child is affected doesn't mean it's paranormal.
Okay.
One of my best cases that I've ever been on was a house investigation. It was a mother, father, and child, a little boy. I think he was around maybe the age of like 5 or 6. They contacted us because every night he would wake up screaming because there was a monster in his room. He kept seeing stuff in his room, and he would run into his parents' bedroom. So they were concerned. They contacted us, so we came in. And, we do all of our initial readings, EMF, carbon monoxide, stuff like that. Came pretty quiet. And then I remember during the investigation, one of our investigators was using a compass, and they had it over the child's bed, and it started spinning around.
Oh, wow.
So they called me up, and I'm like, all right, let me go up there. And I saw it, and I grabbed what's called a digital EMF meter, which detects electromagnetic fields. And I did a reading over the bed, and it jumped up to 199.9, which maxes that meter out. Now, just to give you an idea, a normal range in someone's house is usually below 1. And this was reading 199.9. So I was looking around, and I noticed that he had drawers underneath his bed. So I pull them open, and he had a bunch of toys in there, and there was a Star Wars lightsaber that was just generating this high EMF field. So we continued the investigation, and before we left, I told the homeowner, I'm like, listen, high EMF can cause hallucinations, fatigue, depression, a whole bunch of stuff. This is what we found. There was a toy underneath your child's bed that was giving high EMF. Remove that, see what happens. We're going to go back, do the analysis, and we'll set up a reveal date. So about 2 weeks later, we came back. We found nothing. And we asked the homeowner, how has it been since we left? And they're like, ever since we removed that toy, he's been fine. So we didn't capture any paranormal stuff, which was great that we didn't capture anything paranormal. But like I said, it was one of my favorite cases because we were able to help out that family.
Yeah, it's simple as a toy.
Thought to check,
Oh yeah, who would have ever thought to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what would, for example, say there was never that toy, and to say that there was a presence there, like what would you guys do to help that family?
So the next step would be to ask the family what. A lot of people just want to know if something's there. Some people, then the next thing would be, okay, it's here, get it out. So that's when you take the science approach that we usually go on, and you throw it right out the window. Now you're mixing. That's one thing that's awesome about this group, is that we mix science with spirituality as well. We mix the two together to give you what you need. So at that moment, then we ask the client basically, what type of cleansing would they want? Are they religious based? Are they spiritually based? Whichever they're, whatever they want, that's how we'll do the cleansing. So, and our cleansings, I'd say, are pretty effective. I'd say they're about 98% effective. Where we can go in, do a cleansing, and a lot of times it's good, and it'll be good for a while. And then, if it starts to come back up, we'll go back in, do another cleansing, and they're good for another, a while again. So.
Oh, cool.
So what's your take on when you see those videos of babies and the baby monitors, when when they're looking at clearly something but it's nothing?
Waving to the
it's hard to say. I mean, children, babies in general, they're curious about everything. So it could be something as simple as an air conditioning vent going on, or a heat vent going on, or which could have caused their, one of their toys to start moving, Not to say that kids definitely have a better perception of the paranormal than we do. Their minds aren't, poisoned with the fact that, no, this is fake, this isn't real, so they're just developing, so they see a lot more than we can. unfortunately, the videos that I see, like on some of the TV shows, like Paranormal Caught on Camera and stuff like that, I think people stage stuff to get on TV sometimes,
Oh yeah.
and it makes our job a lot harder, because it's everyone then thinks that, well, they said it on TV that this is a ghost, and it's not. This is what it really is, So it's tough. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I think kids definitely have that perception. They can see things that we can't. So.
Gotcha. I also think it's, a lot of parents just chop it up to be like, oh, you're imagining it too.
Right. Absolutely. And I think over years of hearing that, they kind of, everyone's born with that sense. And when your parents is constantly telling you, oh, no, that's not real. That's, it's just your imagination. They lose it over time, unfortunately. So,
True.
and some people have parents where they embrace it. And hence, that's how you have these great psychics in this world that have that capability and ability to do that kind of work, which is awesome, I think. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you were saying before that you guys investigate more locations instead of residential houses. How many, like before COVID times, obviously, how many inquiries would you guys get from homeowners? I feel like they have something in their home.
I would say on average, we probably get about 50 a year,
Okay.
depending on what type of movies Hollywood puts out.
Okay,
Meaning, if Hollywood puts out, a Paranormal Activity 15, bam, we're going to get slammed with inquiries. Halloween time is always hopping. Everyone wants, everyone thinks their house is haunted around Halloween time. And then it's funny because, like, right around, like, the holidays, it slows down. It'll pick back up again. So it's like, it's crazy. But yeah, you can always count on Hollywood to have our cases. People start emailing us about case requests.
You guys get like ridiculous things. You're just like, what the heck?
Sometimes, yeah. And I always tell people, like, really be careful what you're saying is in your house, because, like, a lot of time Hollywood put this movie about demonic stuff on there, and I'm like, this stuff is real. This really does happen. Don't think like you don't want that in your house. Like, I get it. You see it on Hollywood, you think it's cool, and then all of a sudden you hear a scratch on the wall, and all of a sudden it's demonic. But we always go like, Hollywood's Hollywood. Yes, this stuff is real and it does happen, but it's very rare. So
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then there's also a big difference between the amount of inquiries we get and the ones that actually become cases.
right.
Gotcha. So
that
you guys
makes
are
sense, too.
very selective.
Well, not so much that is like someone will fire, and then when they find out what we're actually all about, they'll when they see that we're serious, I think a lot of times we can tell just how serious they are.
Gotcha. Intimidation.
Yeah, sure. They're like, oh shit.
That, or some people want to kind of do it as a goof or to find out what we're all about. But then when they see our process, like we send a very intensive questionnaire to all of our potential clients. We have investigation that they have to follow and they have to sign off on. And if they don't, we won't investigate. So I think a lot of people, once they get to that point, and they're like, all right, these guys aren't going to just come here and, do whatever, just show up or fake stuff. These guys are for real. I think that weeds out a lot of the, nonsense.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What do you guys do if you guys show up somewhere and like you can clearly see that they're faking?
See ya.
There you go.
I'm out. If we go in there and you're purposely trying to fake stuff on us, we're out. We're done. I'll end the investigation right then and there, and I'll walk out. Because they're,
how can you tell though? Like, say, because like knowing my luck, like my house is haunted, but like I know if you guys showed up, I know nothing would happen. And
that's okay. That's a lot of times that's what happens. A lot of times, the first initial time that we're there, just because we go into your house and we don't get anything, doesn't mean I don't believe what you're saying. The odds of us capturing something in a 4 to 5 hour window when you're there, all day long, it's very small, so that's why, even if we go to your house, we don't capture anything, we'll go back 100 times if you want us to come back. And sometimes that's what it takes. There was one case where we went to this one house, I think like 4 or 5 times. And finally, after the 3rd time, we started getting stuff. And I felt horrible because we would go in and do a reveal and we show them that we didn't capture anything. And the homeowner would be in tears. And it broke my heart because, like, I believed her. I didn't think she was lying or anything, but I just don't have evidence to show you. And finally, after I think it was like the 4th investigation, we finally caught stuff. And it was just like, it put her mind at ease a little bit because she thought she was crazy. And I'm like, I don't believe you're crazy, you know, but once you get evidence to show it, it kind of is like, okay, finally, like somebody believes me, you know, like really believes me. So
you guys wouldn't do any type of cleansing until you guys have proof?
Not necessarily. If we go into a house and even though we don't capture any evidence, if they say, hey, can you do a cleansing? We'll do a cleansing.
Okay.
We'll do a cleansing. Yeah, I don't need to have proof to do a cleansing. We've done cleansings without even doing an investigation. If that's what the client really wants, just the cleansing, we'll just do the cleansing. I mean, if we go in there and we feel that, you know, we're going there to do the cleansing, we feel like it's demonic, we will definitely stop what we're doing and say, this is way above what we can handle. These are the channels you need to take. So it hasn't happened. It probably will never happen, but we have protocols for it if it does.
So you guys are believers that there is demonic situations out there. I know a lot of people are just saying, you know, a lot of people don't believe that they're actually demonic. They're more spirits, the angry spirits. I'm torn. I feel like some things could possibly be on the demonic side.
There's a difference, and a lot of people misinterpret it as like an evil spirit. Basically, if you're an asshole when you're alive, most likely when you die, you're going to be the same way. If you're abusive when you're alive, when you die, you're probably going to be very similar. So just because you get scratched or bruised doesn't mean it's demonic. It could just be from an evil spirit, a spirit that was here that was evil, and when they pass away, they're still the same way. Demonic is a totally different ballgame. I believe that there are cases. I've spoken to many demonologists in the field. I've looked up the rites of exorcisms from the Catholic Church, and even though it's very spiritual, they are very scientific in how they They will not come into your home and do if it's a possession case, they won't do an exorcism on you unless you get a psych evaluation. And if anything comes back in that psych evaluation that says, hey, you're, you know, schizophrenic or bipolar, they're done. Their work stops. They won't do it.
That's so tough, though. I feel like, and
it's very hard. Yep.
Oh, what happened?
Well, we're all chilling somewhere.
Did you press that?
No, I didn't touch anything.
That was me. I was clicking the thing because I didn't know it changed it for everybody.
Oh, I don't know. That's
was that you or a spirit?
Where are we hanging out?
Yeah, the Skype might be haunted right now.
Oh, God, that's so weird. I don't know how to get it back.
Wait, so nobody pressed this?
I didn't press that. I don't need. I can barely sign on to Skype, let alone change the background.
Well, you guys want to come here tonight in Lindenhurst and go check out Jill's house because this space is
That's so funny.
I made her get rid of this
That's so
rocking chair she had down there. I'm like, you gotta get rid of this thing. I'm like, I feel some form of energy, and now it's not there anymore, right?
This is so I can't even look at us. All right, go to the next. I'm gonna try to figure out what to do here.
Nobody pressed.
This is the funniest thing.
That's so funny.
I mean, I guess we're all just.
Well, for everybody watching, I'm not sure if you guys are gonna be checking this out on YouTube, but if you're not, basically our whole Skype situation has changed. We're all individually chilling on it looks like steps.
That would maybe a park. I don't know, but there you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks like a cool place to investigate.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. Let me have to take a picture of this so I could show everybody what we're referring to, so y'all don't think that we're crazy if you're not watching this on the YouTube. On the YouTube. Oh, am I 50?
I know. Oh, well, this. All right, so for now, I guess we're gonna talk like this for a little.
Okay. Awesome. Together mode. Wait.
Here we go. Let's see. Let's do this. Great. I might be able to get us back.
Oh, there we go. Okay, right. So nobody pressed that,
weird,
basically.
nobody did that.
So we have someone that's joking around with us, I'm assuming. I mean, spirit-wise, but I don't even know what we were talking about. What were we talking about? That was probably the funniest thing I've seen in a while. Yeah, demons. Yeah, but to me that, you know, but I just feel like a lot of times, I mean, I could personally, I mean, I could just assume I don't have experience with this, but exorcism, I feel like would mimic something like schizophrenia, or what's dissociative disorder or multi-personality.
Yeah,
Like I feel like that's
yeah.
gonna mimic that. So
Yeah.
I guess like obviously they want to be credible and they want to make sure that what they're doing is
Yeah.
legit.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. I mean, there was a case we took a while ago. It probably has to be almost 10 years ago, where somebody contacted us, and this woman lived in a small apartment, and she was diagnosed schizophrenic.
Okay.
And she asked the church to come in and just to do a blessing on the house, and
Okay.
they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So we're
wow.
like, holy cow. So they contacted us. Her friend actually contacted us for her, and they're like, would you guys take the case? Would you guys come check it out? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. I'll definitely check it out. And we went down there. We didn't capture anything, but we were there for about 4.5, 5 hours, and pretty much it was a small team. It was only like 4 of us. The entire time, I pretty much sat there just talking to the homeowner and just talking to her, listening to her claims, and she just wanted somebody to listen to her. And I sat there, listened. We didn't capture any evidence. We did a reveal, and ever since we did the investigation, she's been fine. So she just wanted to get out whatever she was feeling, and have somebody actually listen and believe in what she's saying. And we did. I didn't think she was lying or anything like that. But sometimes that's all people need.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to be like reassured that they're not alone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So getting to the fun part, can you guys tell us some of the scariest cases that you guys attended to, either house or location-wise?
For me personally, I would say one of the scariest, it would be Mount Misery Road. We actually broke up Mount Misery Road into different sites because it's such a large area. So this would be the one where if you're driving on Sweet Hollow Road and you cross underneath the Sweet Hollow Bridge, and you make your first right onto Gwen Road, that's where we would park, and then we'd cross Sweet Hollow Road, and it's like a park area. You'd walk down like this, it's like a dead-end street, and you go through there, and that's what we call Site 3. And supposedly back in the 70s, people went in there and did demonic rituals and stuff like that. And we were in there a while ago. It's probably over 10 years now. And there was just one night, it was 4 of us. We were walking in, and I started smelling like a rotten egg smell, but no one else smelt it. And then we walked in a little further, and then somebody else smelt it, and none of us smelt it. And then it literally triggered each one of our investigators, and it kind of put up a red flag for me, because that's one of the signs of a demonic haunting, is that sulfur. So we went in further, and it got to this point where the main pathway branches off into another pathway, and we kind of stopped there, and we just felt that we shouldn't go any further. Like, you could just feel it. Everything in your bones tells you don't go any deeper into the woods. So we stayed there, and we kind of, we did our investigation, and we started heading out. We got to like the halfway point, and Shannon, which is one of our psychics, she actually saw something like on the ground, and she's like, I see something. And one of our other investigators walked over kind of to the area, and he pointed to me. He says, like, I think I see it coming out. Like, I think I see it. And me and the other investigator looking like, yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, whatever you guys see, don't talk about it. I want you guys, when we get back to our office, draw what you saw without speaking to each other. And Shannon picked up a name. So I'm like, all right, let's get out of here. So we headed out. They drew what they saw, and it matched about 95%.
Wow.
And then I ran the name that Shannon picked up, and I ran it through our demonology database. And sure enough, that name was in there.
Oh my
And it's kind of like a low-end demon. And I looked up what this thing would look like, and it matched their drawings about 85%. So I was like,
Oh my God. I got the chills from that.
all right. So what do? Year goes by. We go back, investigate around the same time.
Okay.
And this time we get insane amount of evidence. We catch a woman screaming at the top of her lungs. We caught this voice. It's the best way I can describe it is like a raspy voice, kind of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. It says, "What is this? What is it?" And then we did our investigation, and I was pretty far in the woods, and I remember we were in there for about an hour, hour and a half. And I looked into the woods and I saw what looked like there was four beings, like four, I would say about 4.5, 5 feet tall, and one in the front, three in the back, and they were wearing a brown cloak with nothing in the face, but like looked right into my soul. Was like, "Come back here and see what happens." And I'm like, you know what, guys, we're out of here. Let's get out of here.
Yeah,
To go.
We
definitely.
got the team together, and me and one of the other investigators was in the back, and everyone was in front of us. And as we're walking out, something literally like blows right between our legs, and we almost fell down. Like that's how like it felt. It was so weird, but nothing was there. So we left. We got a bunch of EVPs that night, and one of the investigators calls me up, and he's like, "You know something? I'm noticing that there's a pattern during that time frame of evidence." So now every time we investigate, we fill out a field report. So I go in our files and I look up, and sure enough, every year at this specific time, we capture evidence.
Wow.
So every year we've been going back, getting stuff, and we figured out that this is basically on a 7-year cycle. So every 7 years, if you go on a full moon, it's going to hit the hardest. And then every year after that, it'll start to dissipate until it gets down to like 6 years. And then once it hits that 7-year again, bam, it hits really hard. And we were able to figure this out, but just all of our field reports, looking at the data through all the years. So that's one of my best and scariest cases I've ever done. So.
Is it coming up soon to the 7-year mark, or?
So last year we did it. It was actually quiet. We didn't know it was a full moon till last year, until after we did the investigation. We missed it by like 3 or 4 days. So now I know, but this year it's still the year after, it still should be height.
Okay.
So if we hit it on the full moon, we should still get some crazy activity. So we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you guys should definitely record that.
Yeah.
Like, camera wise.
We actually have a YouTube channel. We did real ghost hunting. It's called Mount Misery Road. That episode's on there.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. So everyone can go.
Yeah,
It's under.
it's boring because it's just a raw footage, but you know.
Yeah, but no, that's exciting still.
What's the channel name? That way our audience can go ahead and locate that video if they're interested in watching that.
I think if you just go on YouTube and type in Long Island Paranormal Investigators, all of our stuff will pop up. So yeah, we were doing for about 2 years. We were doing it like a show called Real Ghost Hunting with Long Island Paranormal Investigators, to show everyone what a real ghost hunt looks like. It's not like you see on TV. It's the raw, uncut footage. You know, most of the time nothing happens. You know, and that's the reality of it. You know, unfortunately, but yeah. So.
But then when it does, it's really exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And terrifying too, right?
It's all emotion.
I'm sure Tom has a good story from Roger's Mansion.
Oh yeah, what's your story, Tom?
So this actually goes back to when Connor was saying earlier, when he had us come to his museum for the first time.
Okay.
We went there and we started out the night like they were the guests, so we did like the public investigation. Nothing really happened. It was pretty quiet. But then after the guests left, we decided to do our own little investigation with just us. So myself and one of the other old investigators, we went down into the basement of the museum. Typical creepy old basement with a lot of old facts in it. And we were sitting there. It was pitch black. Lights were off. Very quiet. And I was sitting on one side of the basement, and he was sitting on the other side of the basement. And I felt a little bit like a change. Like, all of a sudden it felt like the mood changed a little bit. So it actually prompted me to ask a question. Sorry, someone's screaming in the background. That was good timing. So I asked the question, if you want us to leave, make a loud noise and we'll leave.
Okay.
And about 5 seconds later, a light bulb smashed and crashed to the floor over by the other investigator, pretty much right in front of him. Light was off, so it's not like it overheated. We still don't know where the light bulb came from.
Yeah.
So we went and checked it out. The light bulb was completely smashed into a million pieces on the floor. Not even like it just fell, it was smashed. And he actually took a picture in that area where the light bulb came down.
Mm-hmm.
He actually caught like a black mass that we still can't.
Yeah.
So we left. We went upstairs. We went and told Connor, told the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
We went back down to go, even though we said we'd leave. We still went back down to check it out. But that was definitely one of the more startling moments I've had.
Oh yeah, that sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Terrifying. Every
I'll
time I
never
see those
forget-
black glasses, oh.
I'll never forget Tom's face knocking on my office door, ghostly white. Be like, can you please go downstairs? I think something happened.
Did you go by yourself?
Oh no, we all went down. I think as a group. I think Tom brought myself, my girlfriend, who was at the museum at the time, who now is also in the group. We all went down together to check it out, and I actually have the recording, and I could play it where we could all hear it right now. If you,
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, that'd be
absolutely.
awesome.
there's a little bit of colorful language. Make sure that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so let me know if you can hear this.
If you want us to leave, make a loud noise and we'll leave. Stop! Are you kidding me? Was that you?
That was
Are you serious? Alright, we gotta go.
Another one. Oh my god.
So that
yeah.
was a light bulb that burst?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that sounded like anger, like forceful.
Yeah,
anger,
like,
not
yeah, that's definitely.
Like, that was a light bulb exploding. That wasn't just a light bulb breaking.
Yeah, that wasn't just something falling gracefully.
Yeah,
No, oh
and
my
yet you
And
God.
guys come back and do this.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my recorder were a good 20 feet away from that. It's not even like it was, like, right in front of me. It was on the
Oh,
other
wow.
side,
Gee.
and it was that loud.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and since then, we do investigations there all the time, and pretty much
Yeah.
ever since that day, I've left a light bulb on the shelf right there,
Okay.
and just waiting for either A, somebody to bump into it, and that to
Mhm.
fall to show like, oh, okay, you could bump into the shelf and it could fall, or
Yeah.
more ammo for the next angry ghost.
There you go.
And it's still there, and there's a little lip on the shelving unit, so like it's not like you can even really roll off. Like you really gotta bump into it hard.
Yeah.
It could fall
And yeah,
off.
that definitely, again, that sounded like it was.
Yeah, that was like
smashed. Oh my
scary. I was
God,
like,
yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be that loud.
Yeah, I actually saw you jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine how I felt.
I am doing this. I mean,
That's
it
what
sounds
I'm
like
saying.
me. I'm like, I would keep doing it. I would run each time, but I'll be back the next day doing it.
Yeah.
The thrill of it all. It
Yeah,
is. It's
exactly, like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's funny that Tom's scariest moment's at my job, and mine's not there. But
Connor's scariest moment was at my job. No.
Right.
No.
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, at a bank. Ooh. but yeah, no. My scariest moment was on an investigation we did at Berkeley Jackson Park, and so that there's a YouTube video that went around a couple years ago about it, where a guy was hiking and found like a bunch of like missing person posters taped up in the woods or like all around the trees, and like there's like some weird cage and like all this weird stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was found out the most it was all kind of like BS and stuff, but spooky local story. So we decided one night to go there, and I think we went there on an overnight when this happened. Which an overnight is when we do an investigation that starts at like 10 and goes till like 4 or 5 in the morning, or till everybody quits. So we ended up there, and me and another investigator were kind of tailing behind everybody, and we get to like a big fork in the road, and Mike sends one team one direction, another team another direction. He goes one direction and tells me, the other investigator, just hang out. We're kind of like, this sucks. Like, we're not even in like a cool spot. So we just kind of BSing, hanging out. Mike comes back and he's like, what do you guys want to go that way? It wasn't really that much, but we're probably gonna move out after this. So we're like, all right. So we go down the path exactly where they went. Because if you go to the left, it was someone's backyard. So we went to the right and go down the trail a little bit. The other investigator like kind of stops me. And he's like, I just got like a weird name shot through my head. And as soon as he said the name Sean, he felt like somebody grabbed his shoulder, and so he turned around really quick and startled, and that scared the crap out of me. So I turned around like, what's that? And then I felt something grab like my pant leg and tug on my leg. So then I turned around and was like, what's that? He does the same thing, and then we both hear the sound of something like dropping, like if somebody was like in a tree or something and just like dropped down. And we were just like, we gotta go. And then we proceeded to just like run down the trail back to everybody, where everybody was very calmly hanging out, chatting. And like me and the other guy were just like, yeah, no, we're fine. Nothing happened. We should go though.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
creepy.
it was just a lot very quickly. Like we
Oh,
didn't even
yeah.
get a chance to like do an EVP question, or my equipment was still in my pocket. Like I had not even taken anything out yet. Like we literally turned the corner and we're like, here we go, and just bombarded with terribleness.
Oh, I can't imagine. I just feel like those scariest moments, like they just stick with you, like no matter what you do, like you'll just never forget them. Like you'll forget something that happened like 10 years ago, but you'll just never forget that, even if it happened 50 years ago. It's like it's gonna live with you until like you die. It's terrifying.
That it is.
So what?
I'll never forget my first night when I joined the group. I'll never forget. Mike said, he said it to pretty much everyone joined. He says, when you join this group, you will have an experience, and you don't realize how true that actually is until you have your first experience with the group, and you're like, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess you can verify that like you're not like making it up. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of. Yeah, I personally see a lot of shadow people, like, which obviously always come to the corner of your eye. But like sometimes I'm like, okay, like, am I seeing that? But then like you see it again happen, like 5 minutes later, and you're like, okay, well, either I'm crazy or, But then you see someone else seeing the same thing as you, and you're like, oh shit, I'm not crazy anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, the possibility of that is like out the door, I guess, right?
When you actually, like, you and someone else have the exact same experience at the exact same time, those are the best. Like, because it's validating you. Like, one of my other creepiest times, we were at Sheep Pasture Park in Setauket, and it was a crazy investigation. Like, it was one of the overall craziest investigations we ever had. Everyone was having very extreme emotional reactions. We were having hits on our equipment, and it actually got to the point where, like, we called the investigation, said, all right, let's get out of here. There's too much going on.
Oh, wow.
And as we were walking out, we walked past like this big open field, and I look out in the open field and I see something out in the middle of the field, and I'm trying to it's dark. Yeah. I'm trying to like focus my eyes, like, what is that? Is that a tree? Is that a bush? I know what I think I'm seeing, but I'm trying to, logically explain what it could really be. So I'm staring at it, and one of the other investigators, Brandon, comes up next to me and goes, "You see him too?"
Oh my God.
It was a tall, dark figure just standing in the middle of the field, just staring at us walking out.
Oh.
So to have him validate that for me was like, all right, yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
And go fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that night. I'll never forget it, because that was on it was like a specific type of moon. Like, it was like a full moon, but it was a blood moon.
Yeah. And
we logged that in our report. And even though whatever happened that night, we went back a week later. We're like, nah, let's go back a week later. And I felt like anger. Like I needed to run out in that field and just pummel whatever was out there. And Tom felt, like, nah, I ain't going out there, And the week after, I literally teamed up everyone specifically to go into those like problem areas in that area, in the whole spot. And we went there a week later, and it was dead quiet. Nothing happened. And
oh, wow.
It just makes that experience so much more credible, because it's like it doesn't happen all the time,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. Yeah, those are creepy. I could never. I don't know. I think it's awesome hearing all that at all. But
absolutely. Well, that leads us to our last question of like, what would you suggest our listeners to do if they feel that they have something paranormal going on in their homes, or if they have an experience like you guys just described, like anything basically? What would you do? What would you guys recommend?
I mean, I would recommend a couple things. Number one, if you have something going on in your home and you want somebody to come in, contact a team, but do your research on that team. Make sure they are a reputable team. Make sure they're scientific based, but also have that spiritual background. Not a team that's just going to come in and fake stuff to scare the living crap out of you, because that does happen. It happens on Long Island, unfortunately. There are teams out there that will go in there, listen to what you're saying, and then fake evidence and be like, oh yeah, this is what we're capturing. And it's really, it makes our job a lot harder to do,
Yeah.
So just find a reputable team. And there are, we're not the only team on Long Island. We're not the only reputable team on Long Island. There's a bunch of teams that are really good. If it's something where you're experiencing like your whole life ever since you were a kid, try to understand it either by reaching out to different paranormal teams if you're really interested. Maybe get involved in the field, but just know by getting involved in this field, it is a super dangerous field. People don't
Oh, yeah.
realize. Like, even though we don't do seances, we don't do Ouija boards, but when you're taking an audio recorder and you're asking what is your name and who's there, you don't know who you're asking. It's the same
Oh, yeah,
concept.
absolutely.
And you know, things can follow you home, things can attach themselves to you. It's a very dangerous field. So anybody looking to get involved in the field, just know that's what you're signing up for. Like, you could do
Okay.
everything you can. You could say your closeout prayers. You can, you know, use religion. You can say whatever's here, please leave, don't follow us home. But it always leaves that percentage where it can follow you home still. So you just gotta, you know. But if you're in a group, you know, like we are, we balance each other out. If somebody's having an issue, you know, we're helping that person. We can cleanse, you know, we can do all that kind of stuff. So
That's awesome.
but yeah, I don't know if these guys have anything to add to that.
Well, I was going to say, you know, anyone who's listening to this or watching this, if you have something, you know, email us. We're going to be out investigating soon. You can email us at casemanager@liparanormalinvestigators.com. I'm the case manager for the group, so I would, you know, send you the paperwork and get you set up for the case. So, you know, we definitely miss getting out there and seeing our clients in their house cases. So if you need help,
we'll include all your email information in our post,
Yeah.
so that way our audience will definitely have all your information and know who to contact.
And I'll say, as someone that works in a haunted location every day, I was just there today for 8 hours. I think it's all about intention. So if you're experiencing like haunted stuff in your house, the more you feed into it, kind of like the more constant it is. And you know, unless it's like something that's seriously negative and physically affecting you and things like that. I mean, like the stuff at my museum is not like that. I kind of just tell it to fuck off a lot of the time and kind of just ignore it.
Sometimes I'm like that today too. I'm like exhausted dealing with like my baby the whole day, and I'll see shit starting up. I'm like, not today, tomorrow.
I can't tell you the number of times I've yelled into the basement of just like, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
And just go out your day.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
and sometimes it is just a matter of, you know, whoever's there, letting them know, you know, you need to go back where you came from or where you belong. This is my house, yours. And you'd be surprised how often that works. Sometimes, you know, whoever it is just needs to be told that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
No, I do too. It's true. Try that at your house next instead of telling them to fuck off. Because she tells them that all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, not today. I'm on the fucking mood.
Maybe that's just like a Long Island tactic. I don't know if that'll work.
Like, not today. Like sometimes, like, you know, like I'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, come on, like I'm not in the fucking mood. Like, go stalk somebody else. That's just frustrating. But my husband will never ever see this stuff. Like he has some type of like wall, like blocking. Like, so I'll just be like, or something like will come crashing and we don't even know what it is. He's like, what is that? I'm like, what do you fucking think it is?
Yeah.
And we won't even know what crashed. And he's like, nothing crashed in our heads. I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy.
You both heard it. Come on now.
Yeah, like you jumped up like a little schoolgirl. Like you heard it. Like, and there's like nothing, you know, and our house is small, so it's like clear, you know, cut if something fell where, you know,
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty handy where he'll know if like something like, you know, is internally wrong with the house, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes they want our, you know, want our attention. I you know, the one thing that I just hate though is like when the picture frames fall. I'm like, come on. There's always a picture of me. It's always a picture with me in there. It's like, why? Why can't it be somebody else? Always me. I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen to me today? I'm like,
oh god.
because again, like you see the Hollywood and you see, you know, like the glass shatter and you're like, oh crap, this person's dying soon.
I know the way Hollywood plays certain things.
Right.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We love talking to you guys.
Yeah, this was
awesome. It's always great to get experts' opinions, story times. We love hearing it all.
Sure.
So, everybody listening to this, we will provide all the information for the Long Island Paranormal Investigators on our post. Go on their website. You can contact a bunch of friendly people that are here to help you guys.
Yeah.
And I think you guys heard throughout our interview that, you know, they'll take you seriously as long as you're not bullshitting. So
there you go. Right?
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We
awesome.
appreciate talking to you guys.